I've never been the type to just sit around and wait for things to happen. I've always worked hard, knowing that in the end, effort brings recognition. But that night, I learned the hard way that the world doesn't always work like that. For months, I lived for a project. Not just any project, but something that could transform the way companies approach sustainability. Endless nights tweaking details, double-checking calculations, making sure everything was perfect. My friends stopped inviting me out because they knew I'd just say, "Can't, I'm working." My weekends disappeared, but it would all be worth it. I knew it would. The company announced a big gala to celebrate the year's most innovative projects. I'd heard rumors that my project had impressed the executives. I arrived at the event feeling nervous, but excited. After all, if anyone deserved that recognition, it was me. Then the CEO stepped onto the stage and said a name that wasn't mine. I froze. I knew that name. Bruce Bernard. He worked in the same department as me. He had never shown the slightest interest in sustainability. He never joined technical discussions. He never stayed up all night trying to solve the challenges of the project. And there he was, smiling, shaking the CEO's hand like he had created everything, like the work was his. The audience erupted in applause. People around me whispered about how brilliant he was, how this would change the company. I couldn't move. My mind was screaming at me to do something, but my body wouldn't listen. Everything felt distant, like I was watching my own humiliation from the outside. The reality hit when I saw my boss in the corner of the room, smiling in satisfaction. He knew. He planned this. The betrayal felt like a punch to the gut. I could stand there, pretending everything was fine, acting like nothing had happened. Or I could do something about it. I walked out of that gala, my heart racing. When I got home, my head was still spinning. I could barely breathe from the anger. I kicked off my shoes in the hallway and went straight to my computer. My gown was still clinging to my body, but I didn't care. I had to do something. Now. First, I tried to handle it the right way. I called my boss. No answer. Sent a message. Nothing. Coward. Bruce, same thing. Read it, and ignored me. The anger inside me grew, turning into something bigger than frustration. I had proof. For months, I had documented every step of the project. Emails, drafts, presentations, handwritten notes, everything with my name on. I could prove it was mine. I opened Twitter. My heart pounded so hard I could barely type, but the words came out like an unstoppable flood. I worked for months on this project. I pulled all-nighters, gave it everything I had. And today, I watched someone else take credit for it. Green Future just rewarded a fraud. Here's the proof of my work. I attached the documents and hit post. At first, nothing happened. A few likes, some supportive messages from friends. But then, it blew up. The algorithm did its thing. Within hours, my post had thousands of shares. People were outraged in the comments. The hashtag #ChowJusticeForVanessa started gaining momentum. Journalists began tagging me. Experts debated corporate ethics. My phone wouldn't stop vibrating. Unknown calls, emails, notifications from every platform. I had never seen anything like it. And then the doorbell rang. The sound made me freeze. I glanced at the clock. It was way too late for a normal visit. My stomach twisted. I walked to the door and peeked through the peephole. My blood ran cold. Standing on the other side was the CEO of Green Future. His eyes were ice cold, and he did not look happy. I thought about pretending I wasn't home, but I knew it would be useless. He knew I was here, and besides, running wasn't an option. I had started this fight myself. I took a deep breath and opened the door. The CEO of Green Future stood there, dressed in a flawless suit, but his expression was far from the friendly demeanor he usually displayed in meetings. He looked furious. "We need to talk," he said bluntly. I crossed my arms, trying to look more confident than I felt. I didn't respond, just stepped aside, letting him in. My apartment felt even smaller with him inside. He got straight to the point. He said my post was causing irreparable damage to the company's image, that shareholders were worried, that I was hurting my own career by turning this into a public scandal. And then came the veiled threat. If you take the post down now, we can handle this quietly. Otherwise, I can guarantee that no serious company will want to hire someone who stirs up this kind of trouble. I swallowed hard. I knew the corporate world was ruthless, but hearing it directly from someone this powerful hit differently. It was a warning, an attempt to silence me. But I had come too far to back down now. I crossed my arms again and met his gaze. I have nothing to lose. But you do. The silence between us was heavy. He studied me for a moment, and for the first time, I saw something on his face that wasn't anger. It was concern. He left without another word. The next morning, Green Future released an official statement trying to discredit my story. That was a mistake. The internet didn't hold back. Users started digging up other stories about the company, exposing questionable practices. Former employees came forward with similar accounts. Justice for Vanessa became a worldwide trending topic. Then, something I never expected happened. Phone buzzed with a new notification. An email. "Hi, Vanessa. This is the director of Green Tech Solutions. We're impressed by your courage and would love to talk." I gripped my phone tightly. A new opportunity was emerging. But was I ready for it? I spent the entire night awake. My body was exhausted, but my mind wouldn't stop. I had reread that email dozens of times, trying to process what was happening. Green Tech Solutions wasn't just any company. It was one of the global leaders in sustainable innovation. They were reaching out to me because my name was now bigger than any sabotage. The next day, I put on my best professional outfit and went to meet them. The office was a sleek, glass-covered building with a massive vertical garden in the lobby. It felt like a symbol of everything I wanted to build. The conversation was straightforward. The company had followed the entire fallout of my story and believed in my potential. They didn't just want to implement my project. They wanted me to lead this initiative on a global scale. This was more than just a job. It was a chance to start over, to do something real without having to fight for recognition. But before accepting, I had one condition. I didn't just want a position. I wanted the freedom to build my own team. I wanted to work with people who truly believed in the project. The answer was yes. I would have everything I needed to turn my idea into something even bigger. I walked out of that meeting feeling for the first time that the weight of betrayal was no longer on my shoulders. What had happened to me at Green Future still hurt, but that pain was now turning into fuel. As I walked through the lobby, feeling the beginning of a new chapter, my phone buzzed again. This time, it was a message from Bruce. He wanted to meet. The question now was, did I want to hear him out? Bruce's message sat there on my phone screen, blinking like a ghost from the past I'd rather ignore. For days, I hesitated between replying or simply deleting it, as if it had never existed. But deep down, I knew I had to close this chapter, the right way. When I finally agreed to meet, I went in with no expectations. I wasn't looking for genuine remorse or plausible explanations. At best, I expected an attempt to clean up his image now that the truth was out. Bruce was different. Less confident, less imposing than he had been that night on the Green Future stage. He said he never meant to steal my project, that he was just following orders, that he never thought things would spiral the way they did. He tried to justify himself, but it all sounded like empty excuses. Listening to him, I realized something important. I didn't need this conversation anymore. My life was moving in a direction so much bigger that looking back no longer made sense. I just smiled, wished him luck, and walked away. The years that followed brought more than I could have ever imagined. My project grew, making an impact on industries around the world. I was invited to speak, to mentor new initiatives, to become exactly what I had always wanted to be, a leader in sustainable innovation. Then one day, an unexpected email arrived. Green Future wanted to hire me as a consultant. The irony made me laugh. The same company that once tried to erase me now needed me. I accepted the meeting, but made it clear. This wasn't a return. It was a negotiation on my terms. Walking into the conference room, I saw familiar faces. The same CEO who had once tried to silence me, now visibly worn out, forced a diplomatic smile. They needed my expertise to restructure their environmental practices and rebuild their reputation. But before any negotiation, I had one condition. I wanted them to publicly acknowledge what they had done to me. The hesitation was obvious, but they knew they had no choice. When Green Future finally issued a statement admitting their mistakes and recognizing my work, I felt something beyond victory. It was justice. That chapter of my life was closed. A few days later, another invitation arrived, this time from the United Nations. They wanted me to speak at a global event on sustainable innovation. The irony was almost poetic. What started with a stolen project had led me to something far greater than any promotion at a company. It had taken me to a place where my voice could never be silenced again. Vanessa's journey proves that no one can dim the shine of someone who fights for what's right. If you enjoyed this story, give it a like, subscribe to the channel, and share it with others.